if you see us, the most organic, we are organic. But on my content is very raw.
Can I give a little bochinche?
We are here for bochinche.
Okay, Victoria, so this is a trip.
I'm not going to cry on the podcast.
I told you to use the bathroom before we started.
So here's the deal. When I first started getting interest from brands, I reached out to Omi and she gave me the best resource when I first started.
We are who we've been waiting for.
Your original question was around the challenges, right?
Yes.
Because I really want to talk about money.
Let's talk about that cheddar.
Talk about money.
Because
Dinero. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Banking on Cultura, where we talk about the vibrancy and complexity of Latino culture, business, and all the bonchinche in between. I'm your host, Victoria Jenn Rodriguez, and today I have the esteemed honor of being joined by three of my Boricua hermanas, my sisters, and they're going to talk about what collaboration looks like amongst Latinas, amongst women. We're going to talk about the business of influencership, and we're going to get into some bonchinche, obviously, per usual. So welcome to my guest, Rebecca Nieves Hoffman.
Hey, girl.
We've got Ivelisa Rios. And of course, we've got Omi Hopper. I am so excited to have you guys on the show. So before we get into the nitty gritty, let's do a quick intro of each of you. So Rebecca, you first, mama.
Well, girl, I'm Rebecca Nieves Huffman. You already know that, but your listeners don't. And I am a 20-year nonprofit executive turned social media influencer, among other things. And it is a joy to be here bochinchando contigo.
Ay,
y las chicas mías tan bellas y preciosas.
Yes. Evelisa.
Hey, buenos días, alegría, Rice con Shine. Mi nombre es Ivelisa Ríos, ya tú me conoces, de Ivelisa Riendo y Comiendo. Soy la CEO, la owner, la president, like everything from my social media page. Yo soy enfermera from Corozal, Puerto Rico. Y vivo en Orlando, Florida, con un esposo bello y precioso y 3 hijos bellos y preciosos también.
Yes, Rebecca was giving us the skinny that your hubby holds you down.
Yes,
Él es que yo soy la spoil de ese hombre. Así
I
que
love
él
it.
es mi mano derecha. So,
I love it. I love it.
Chulo, pero thank you for having me here.
Of course. Omi.
Hola, mi gente. And thank you so much, Victoria Jenn, for having us here today. This is going to be so much fun. My name is Omi Hopper. I am a social media content creator by the name of Cooking con Omi. I was formerly a professional makeup artist and pivoted my career to create content after the pandemic, like a lot of people did, just kind of pivoted life altogether. And it has been an amazing ride.
And we on TV.
And we were just on TV. And we will continue to be on TV after today.
Yes, obviously. All right, ladies. So we like to kick off the show and asking each of our guests to give us some bonchinche because, hello, it wouldn't be us if we don't talk about the bonchinche. So it could be personal, it could be business, but tell us, what's the latest bonchinche?
I think Omi had a really good story to tell right when we were getting ready before we started. And it was around just, understanding how women should truly run the world. Because of how we make things easier and smoother when we're implementing projects or initiatives. So I'm going to toss the ball over to you to tell that story, girl.
Te tiraron al medio, básicamente.
No, me tiraron al medio, sí, está bien.
You got voluntold.
No, listen, I do feel that there are many moments in my life, in my careers. Yeah. I've had multiple careers. I'm on my third career now, right? Yeah. Content creation. But in my careers, I felt many times in a room full of the opposite sex that just do not understand what I'm trying to do or say when it's really very simple.
So simple.
It's so simple. And I get another woman in the room and they know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And we could literally solve world hunger. But it's, it's just, sometimes it's very frustrating to feel heard and to feel understood or to feel like your input is valid. And I've also learned that sometimes it's a matter of me saying it and then allowing the other person the opposite sex to believe that they came up with it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to allow you to believe that you came up with it.
And
At this point, it's like, I'm not going to argue with you.
And I don't know if you go through this too, or you ladies go through this too, that when in that process, when you're saying, okay, I'm going to just give some probing questions or whatever to make them think that they came up with the idea. I hate that we have to be in a position to stroke egos in order for us to get stuff done and to get things done right. But yeah, Omi and I were sometime, and this has happened many times before, where we're on a call or on a Zoom and we're just like texting each other like, this ain't that hard, people. Like, why aren't they getting it? Okay, maybe they're visual learners. Let's send them like images. Let's do a follow-up email with specifics and literally step by step. So that can be very frustrating, but that's part of the bochinche of what it's like doing this work.
Ese día yo estaba viajando, entonces me perdí el bochinche.
So this is good bochinche because you said stroke the ego.
Yeah.
And my belief is that the reason why this continues to happen is because we continue to stroke the ego. Like we continue to play that game instead of allowing, we can say men. I know we've been saying the opposite sex.
Yeah. Everybody, believe me, everybody are clear that we are talking about.
But we love men. Yes. We do. They are our allies and we love y'all. But just like, there's certain things ladies can improve upon. There's certain things men can improve upon as well. That's right. And I truly feel like because we continue to stroke the ego, we continue to allow this nonsense to go on, thinking that we have to, and that's the only way for us to make it. So how do we create that shift?
But here's the thing, Victoria, there's sometimes you're in a position where you have to stroke the ego because it's related and tied to you getting your money. It's related and tied to your brand. And, if like, let's say, for example, you got a big event that's coming up and you know that it's a beeline to disaster because the people that are setting things up are not going to present you in the way that you want to be presented and eyeballs are going to be on that. Well, then I have to protect my brand. So if I have to stroke the ego it's really what I think is going to remedy that is more female CEOs and more women that are in positions of power to like really truly have boards, have staff. And this is not to knock all men because I have been in spaces where there are men that are multitaskers. They understand logistics. They understand, how to get stuff done. Yeah.
We're also married to them.
Pero
exactly.
Yes. We have the perfect example. We have a really nice husbands. Pero if you are organizing something big, like a business or like an event or something like that, get the proper staff.
Yes.
Get the proper staff. Believe me, when we are organizing stuff for us, we are making sure that we have the right logistic. But in this situation, to them, sometimes tú tienes que pensar como que, Dios mío, se lo voy a mandar. Hay que mandárselos a la mamá para que los termine de criar. Yes, and that's y a veces nos llaman feministas. Pero no es que seamos feministas, es que nosotras, aunque no tengamos la respuesta, nosotros buscamos la forma de figure it out things.
Right.
Yo pienso que eso es cosa ya de nosotras innata de las mujeres. Que, yo no sé lo que voy a hacer, no sé cómo lo voy a hacer, pero let's go for it.
Right.
Y yo pienso que eso, y no es por minimizar a los hombres.
Yeah.
Pero common sense. 2 más 2 es 4.
Yeah.
¿Entiendes?
Yeah. This is some hot bonchinche, y'all. I like this topic. My goodness, because
you know what? We find ourselves in this work, Victoria, like gravitating towards women in particular that know how to execute well. And I know I'm not going to mention her by name because she hasn't given me permission to do this, but there is a woman that is like our inspiration that we have been we started collaborating with. This is a boss jefa. And Ivelisa was a guest speaker at one of her events and she got a front row seat to see how she runs things and how she uplifts and empowers women. And that's another thing too, is that our followers on social, they are amazed at the female empowerment that we persistently perpetuate, not just with each other, but with the women we come in contact with. We've always, from day one on our pages, we support small Latina-owned businesses. And it's like a shocker to some people. And they're like, all I see is cattiness amongst women in my community or in my workplace. And it's refreshing to see that. Well, I'm going to be unapologetic that I'm going to continue to try to exclusively work with women that know how to get things done and are about that value.
That's right.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's a great point, Becky, because when we were talking...
Is that your nickname for Rebecca, by the way? Is this a hot off the presses? Only you can call her that? Because, listen, I know her as Rebecca. Like, is Becky like VIP? Or?
It is VIP in my life.
Okay.
Because only my family that... It's so funny because when I went... Up until I went to college, I was Becky. Don't be fooled
Ahora se
by
echa
the
vuelta.
so I'm still Becky from
okay.
But so when I went to college, you know, you have that light bulb and that awakening. It's a formative time. And I was like, I don't want to be called Becky anymore. And plus, you know, that song came out, you know, I like big butts and oh my God, Becky, look at that. And then all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be. So anyways, I was like, I want to be called by my given name. So then I established a career and then people in my career know me as Rebecca, but then they hear my family calling me Becky. They're like, wait, you're Becky. I'm like, no, only my family and people in the hood that grew up with me, they could call me Becky. But really family and people that are close to me.
Got it.
That's what they
Got it. Evelisa, continue your thought.
Back to the point.
Sorry. Landing the plane. I'm landing the plane.
Back to the point. But you know what? We are used to. This is, you know, we are used to having this.
Yeah,
this is happening
us.
to us every day and then it's fine. ¿Y cuál era el point?
That's what happens. That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, damn, I hope Evelisa holds on to that point.
No. But she was talking about that
female empowerment.
Yeah, that the way that we support each other and the way that our followers, the small business on our page and everything. And we were talking before we start this interview, how amazed is our community with our relationship, how we connect, how different we are, and how we help each other in our brand. And this is something that, to me, they are a blessing in my life because they are like a mentor. They are giving me directions. They are giving me purpose. And when I'm around them, I feel like people said that I have this beautiful energy. Pero I feel very empowered having them around me. If you see us, the most organic, we are organic. But on my content is very raw, very organic. And
she does it the best, I think, amongst the three of us.
Yes, she does.
And can I give a little bochinche?
We are here for bochinche.
Okay, we're here for bochinche. Okay, Victoria, so this is a trip.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Ooh, this is really good. You should know about this. So I don't know about you, but I've been known to procrastinate, especially when things scare the hell out of me. The fear alone would have me stuck, overwhelmed, confused, and all types of self-doubt. And don't even get me started on the imposter syndrome. Okay. After getting laid off, not once, but 3 times, honey, I realized that the security blanket that I made up in my head was just an excuse because I didn't really want to bet on myself. The corporate benefits that had me in that headlock, girl, they went out the window once my job decided that they no longer needed me.
Turns out that I'll save a whole nickel if I cut your salary completely.
The truth is, the only security blanket guarantee is the one that you create for yourself. In other words, until you start a business, you will always be at the mercy of a company's headcount, and you will never have complete control over your time, which means you'll be renting out your thought leadership and helping build someone else's dream instead of your own. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Don't you think it's time you stop playing small and tap all the way into your power, sis?
Check out www.victoriajen.com/training
to learn my 3-step process, the exact 3 steps that I took to make the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. And this is helpful even if you don't know what type of business to start and have only one source of income. And this is absolutely free. It is my gift to you. I want you to win. It's winning season. In fact, what's that? It smells like winning season. Okay, so tap in and I'll see you inside the training. Let's go.
We advise each other. And so I love that she calls us mentors, pero a la misma vez, there are times when she'll say, Becky, Omi, what do you think about this reel? When should I post it? Do you think it's good? And we'll give her advice. And at the end, she still does the things that we told her not to do.
Ella rebelde. Ella hace lo que le da la gana. Yeah, she will literally say, okay, so what caption do you think? And we'll give her the caption. She's like, no, I'm just gonna do my own caption. And she will just do her own thing. And when we know that, we'll give her the advice, but Eva is still gonna be Eva, and she's still gonna do what Eva does.
You know what I like from them? That instead they treat me, that part of my life, instead of diminish me.
Demean, yeah.
Demean, yeah. Como criticarlo.
Sí.
Right.
Ellas me lo hacen como compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Constructive criticism.
And that's something that out there, people doesn't understand us. And I'm so sorry. I mean, I don't have to be sorry. Our community, most of them, there's a lot of insecurities, a lot of lack of attention, a lot of they take things personal. And I'm talking about it because I was like that. And we were talking about it this morning, me and Omi. And that's why the community out there are very impressed with us. They don't understand. They said how Ibeliza is very loud and very like, así como que bien, ay Dios mío, mira. ¿Tú me entiendes?
Mm-hmm.
Like Becky is very, business, and Omi is between, and they say cómo ellos pueden con ella, cómo ella puede con la otra, because we have values, and because we respect each other.
We have different personalities, but we share a lot of the same values.
Yes.
And we, like everything, like all things that you cultivate friendships. And we were cultivating this friendship since the beginning of the pandemic. Slowly but surely. I mean, I think the very first time that I ever talked to Eva was probably like a month and a half into me making videos on TikTok. She gave me her number. And I'm like, why is this lady giving me her number? But I called anyway. Which one is crazier? The one who gives the number or the one who calls a complete stranger? So,
and that was contagious because when I reached out to you, you immediately gave me your cell phone number. And I had the same reaction. I'm like, she don't know me from Adam. Like, how does she? And yeah.
Yes. And by the time we actually met in person and like physically got to hug each other and see each other, we already knew everything about each other's lives in terms of family, what our day looks like, we're FaceTiming. It felt like a family member that I finally got to connect with. Mm-hmm. And so for me, when it comes to having a relationship with these women, it's not just the fact that we're colleagues. It's more so that we connected on another level that feels so much like family to me.
Home.
Feels like home. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to. No, it's so organic. And that is the reason why can I do this with anyone else? I can absolutely work with anyone else, but to have this kind of relationship is totally different, and it is special.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Interestingly enough, I was sitting with my girlfriend Liz, and I was letting her know I was interviewing you guys, and I told her I wanted to talk about collaboration amongst women because it is hard to find that connectivity and magic and have it work so seamlessly and have it be fun and not always work. And she said, that's because they're Latinas. And I said, really? She said, not only Latinas, but that's because they're Boricuas. And I said, interesting. And she also said, you guys connected over one of the things that brings Latinos together, which is food. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? That is right. That is like a formula for collaboration. And you mentioned values. And I think that's key and a good takeaway for anyone in the audience listening to this is when you are looking at a partnership or collaboration opportunity, make sure your values are aligned because it allows for that fluidity to happen and it allows for you to actually have a good, successful collaboration. So let's share the story of how you actually came together. Mm-hmm. So we know it was during the pandemic. We know we shared numbers with each other, but who had the idea of we should make this a thing? Like, how did that come about?
You know
Our
what?
followers.
No. And the thing, we were with the flow. Nosotras no teníamos idea que nos íbamos a juntar y que todo esto iba a salir de esta forma. Es como yo digo, tú sigue lo que te hace feliz, sigue lo que te llena, lo que te apasiona y eso te va a llevar a cosas grandes y te va a abrir puertas. Nosotras hemos creado todo esto sin darnos cuenta. no sabíamos, no teníamos, nosotras no dijimos vamos a colaborar. We never talk about collaboration. We never talk about having this trio together, having all of this opportunity. We never talk about this. Never has this plan.
Organically.
It happened organically, but most importantly, the people who watched us, right? Our community, the first time they ever saw us together, which was when these ladies went to Rhode Island to come see me.
In December 2021.
In December 2021, they came to see me in Rhode Island. And it was the best time. When I tell you our social medias collectively blew
up.
People have given us a nickname. We're Team Rio, by the way.
Team Rio, because of them.
Yeah, and Omi. We're literally Team Rio. Because of our followers. They gave us that. But it is, to me, the beauty of it all is how whenever we do come together, we organically create content. And we also do the very best we can to include each other in each other's plans.
Yes.
You're masterful at that, Omi.
We share whatever I'm doing. If I'm being, if I'm doing something by myself, I'm like, no, I actually have 2 more girls that I think you really need to look at and need to consider for this opportunity. If we do this together, you'll be able to get the visibility that you really want.
Yes.
And vice versa. Like, Rebecca has literally given us opportunities with brand deals. Ivelisa, I did an entire media tour in Puerto Rico thanks to Ivelisa because of her connections in the island. And I was able to go on all 3 major channels in Puerto Rico because of her.
Which is hard to do.
It's very hard to do because it's all in who you know. And she literally knows everybody. And when I tell you, this is what we do. We are not only sharing and wanting to really be inclusive in that, we really want to make sure that as one wins, we all win together. And who else do we bring on the boat with us?
And we are more powerful.
We're more powerful when we come together. I really, if there is someone that I don't bring with me, or if there's, if there's a group that I say, I'm not about that, it's really because they've put themselves there.
Yes.
They've put themselves in a position where I cannot associate with that. And I have to look out for my brand. That's right. I have to look out for my values. Those values don't align, then I don't mess with it. No te deseo el mal. Te deseo todo lo mejor. I wish you all the best. But I will not be there. To be a part of it.
And that's where that ancestral wisdom comes from our community. Dime con quién anda y te diré
quién eres.
100%.
Period.
Y algo que yo aprendí since the very beginning with Omi, when the doors start opening for her, we start at the same time. And she always said, Ivelisa, if I'm blessed, the blessing is around. La bendición está en el barrio. Quiere decir que si a mí me están bendiciendo, ya mismo viene la tuya de otra forma. Eso es otra cosa que that's one of my values on my page. Teaching them that if she is successful in her way, I can be successful in another way. Muchos me preguntan, ¿cómo te sientes con el éxito de Omi en la televisión? And Becky too. And what about you, Ivelisa? When is your turn? Or something like that. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm not here for that. That's her opportunity. I will have another opportunity. And I can bless people that my path is way different than Rebecca and then Omi. And I have to follow that path. And I have to be blessing people on that, porque esa es my expertise. Las cosas que me han pasado, mi pasado, cómo yo lo overcome. Yo no puedo querer que lo que le está pasando a ella me pase a mí y no me puedo molestar. Porque significa que entonces yo estoy cargando inseguridades, problemas de identidad. Y son cosas que yo no quiero trabajar eso. Yo quiero eso sacarlo de mi vida. Y mucha gente out there, they are not committed. They want a relationship like this. Are you willing? Are you willing to work on relationship like that? Con celos, con envidia, comentarios negativos. Nosotros somos humanos y nosotros tenemos emociones y sentimientos que we have to deal with that. And if you let those emotions be over you and controls you, no vamos a poder tener esto.
So let's dive a little deeper into that because I aspire for this. I'm watching you guys and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I can see it like live right here. And one of the things that Rebecca and I met first, and that's how I got introduced to Ivelisa and Omi. But what drew me to Rebecca was how she was so humble and consistent with promoting other businesses, with talking about other women, with doing it like it was second nature. Like it was not a problem. Like, hey, go check this person out. Go check that person out. And I feel like ego plays such a huge role, especially in this world of social media where everybody's like, me, pay attention to me, put the spotlight on me, where they don't understand how you are more powerful together.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Ooh, this is really good. You should know about this. So I don't know about you, but I've been known to procrastinate, especially when things scare the hell out of me. The fear alone would have me stuck, overwhelmed, confused, and all types of self-doubt. And don't even get me started on the imposter syndrome. Okay. After getting laid off, not once, but 3 times, honey, I realized that the security blanket that I made up in my head was just an excuse because I didn't really want to bet on myself. The corporate benefits that had me in that headlock, girl, they went out the window once my job decided that they no longer needed me.
Turns out that I'll save a whole nickel if I cut your salary completely.
The truth is, the only security blanket guarantee is the one that you create for yourself. In other words, until you start a business, you will always be at the mercy of a company's headcount, and you will never have complete control over your time, which means you'll be renting out your thought leadership and helping build someone else's dream instead of your own. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Don't you think it's time you stop playing small and tap all the way into your power, sis? Check out www.victoriajen.com/training to learn my 3-step process, the exact 3 steps that I took to make the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. And this is helpful even if you don't know what type of business to start and have only one source of income. And this is absolutely free. It is my gift to you. I want you to win. It's winning season. In fact, what's that? It smells like winning season. Okay, so tap in and I'll see you inside the training. Let's go.
So let's offer the people some tips. And we said a couple of things. We spoke about, same values, which is really important. We talked about being able to be emotionally intelligent, right? And not let your ego get in the way. But how else can people actually get this? How can they find this magic amongst their community? Because it is rare and it is very unique. And what's so powerful about your story is not only do you have a relationship that brings in business and there's lucrativeness to that side, but you can generally see that on the personal side, you all love each other, right? Yeah. So what are some tangible things? Like, how can people find this in their life?
Pues es como yo estaba diciendo ahorita, tus pasiones, las cosas que te gustan. Yo tengo un lema. No somos los únicos, pero somos únicos. I cannot pretend be her. I cannot pretend be her. People will notice that. When you are fake, they notice that. And we experience that in our page. And I don't want to imitate Omi. You never heard me say, hola mi gente. Or you never said me, tú nunca me escuchas diciendo, hola mi gente, buenos días. I don't say that. Tú lo puedes decir, ok, pero ella es mi amiga. Y I know que se va a ver como, ay, esta quiere ser Omi. Y lo han dicho.
I will tell you, to piggyback off of what Ivelisa is saying, we have always respected each other's platforms. Aside from being friends, we have always respected each other's platforms on a level of, we talk every morning, right? We'll literally, we'll either, if we can't FaceTime or be on the phone, we will just send a quick good morning text.
Yes.
You do that with people you love and you care for, right? So we say good morning. If we know that one is posting una receta de arroz blanco, mira, yo también tengo una receta de arroz blanco. You know what? I'll wait till next week. I'll put it whenever else, another time. Yeah. That's a level of respect.
It's professional courtesy.
It's professional courtesy. In our world, that is our content creation. In our content creation, that it's like, sharing documents. Like, that's our level of that. And so we respect that and we don't step on each other's toes. No. We will we're not afraid to be open about something. If an issue comes up, I'm like, I'm feeling like this about X, Y, and Z. We're not afraid of that within our professional realm. And so that is something that if you are willing to work at that and you're willing to be open to that, you find people with likeness, right? People who have, you attract those people. Mm-hmm. But when you are out here, especially in this world where everyone is an influencer, everyone is a social media influencer, but they're not doing it in a way where it's collaborative, or they're not doing it in a way where it's respectful of someone else's platform. Yeah. That's very important. You can't do that.
And the respect.
I think it's really important to, especially if you're in a business where you're in the limelight, whether that's social media, whether you're working with the press or you're the CEO of your company, you have to show up as your authentic self that is informed by your upbringing. So I was born and raised in the States. Ivelisa was born and raised in Puerto Rico. Omi straddled, she started off in Puerto Rico, born and raised there, and at a certain age, at 11, moved to the States. So how does that show up? I speak English dominant on my page, and I sprinkle some Spanish. I speak Spanglish. Mm-hmm. Omi's Spanish dominant, pero she also does English recipes now. She's doing both. Ivelisa is Spanish dominant, and so that's one of the ways that we differentiate it, because that's our lives. That's how we speak on a daily basis. I have recipes that are, yes, Puerto Rican, but with either a healthy twist or a vegan twist or whatever. Why? Because I have a kid with food allergies. I have to do that, at times. And so I've learned how to cook, traditional meals, but with that kind of twist. Do I get comments from time to time, especially in the beginning? Eso no es auténtico. Eso es, tú sabes, that's not the way my abuela makes it. No, but that's how I make it in my house. Y como dice Omi, en tu cocina tu manda. Pero sometimes those rules are informed by your life. And so it's not good for you to show up on social media and pretend something that you're not, or cook meals that, explore and cook different meals. That's the joy and the adventure of cooking. But don't present yourself as someone that has always done something a certain kind of way. Followers have a very high BS meter. They know and they can feel when something is made up, fake, whatever. Yeah. So your best strategy in anything in your business is to show up as your authentic self, because there's no one like you. And you will attract the people in your community that are like you. Yes. And I feel like it gives me joy when I'm at the airport and I see someone that graduated from like an Ivy League school and is like, oh my God, I'm Puerto Rican and I also graduated from an Ivy League school and I feel so alone, and your page allows me to feel seen, with and so it's just, I think people downplay the power of showing up as your authentic self because we have these hangups about ourselves. And so I've learned through this journey that the way I grew up is a beautiful thing, even with the little twists and turns. And I have a group of people that can relate to that in my community.
Yeah. I love that. So I heard a couple of things, beautiful insights. So being your most authentic, unedited self, no fakeness, have respect, and professionalism. Like, you have to respect those boundaries. And by you respecting those boundaries and being authentic and not being fake and having respect, you're able to have a partnership that continues to work. Pero we like to get into the bochinche here.
El pero siempre está.
And with every good situation,
she snapped with
there's always opportunity for improvement. So what have been challenges of the collaboration?
Oof.
Dios mío.
Let's get in it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
We are now, I'm not going to cry on the podcast. I'm not gonna Rebecca said something yesterday while we were at the parade, about to turn into Fifth Avenue. Yeah. And she looked at me and she said, "We are who we've been waiting for." Mm. And we have been trying to set a table because the table doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
We're trying to create that table right now where women who are like us can feel like they have a team that they can trust. They can have a an agency, PR, whatever, my manager. We're trying to create that table because the table doesn't exist right now for us. They don't know what to do with us. Yeah. And if we have to be the ones, then we're the ones. It's us. And so how do we use our influence and what's happening in our lives right now for the better so that other influencers and other people like us don't get taken advantage of by these, fluky agencies who want to take for themselves and not give anything to the artist or to the creator? That's what we have to do. Yeah. We can't let them win. There's no way that we can let that win because then no crecemos. No vamos a crecer. No, we're not going to be able to cross over to the other side and show. One thing that I really, really took on, and I took it on really personally, was after leaving the show, after being on Next Level Chef, first of all, I went in there as a complete underdog. Uh-huh. I didn't know if I was going to last a day, a week, or a month. I lasted the whole month and I made it as a semi-finalist in a competition full of professional makeup artists, full of professional chefs, all with the knowledge of my abuelita's kitchen. Mm-hmm. Okay? When I came back and I had already kicked into a gear that I did not know I had within myself. And I was like, how do I keep this gear going? Mm-hmm. This gear has to go to another level. How do I now incorporate mi gente, not just from watching, but creating an experience for them where they feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel like they have power. Mm-hmm. How did they feel seen? Obviously by me being on the show. How did they feel like they were a part of it? I made an opportunity for watch parties and for meet and greets in 5 cities. Mm-hmm. And then how do they feel heard? Fox they now know who we are. Yeah. Yes. They know who we are. It's no longer just going to be the Mexican cook as the only Spanish cook in a show. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we bring a lot to the table.
But I got to give you some credit, Omi. At those watch parties, before the show would start, the episode would start, you told our people, listen, they got to have, the only way they're going to see and hear from us is if when you're posting on social, you're tagging Next Level Chef. You're tagging Fox.
All the time she said that.
She always had a call to action. And this is a stumbling block for a lot of Latinas, that they tienen como miedo de pedir. You know? Yes. They're afraid to ask. I'm always encouraging my community. Yeah. Tú no tienes porque tú no pides. Porque tú no pides. People are mind readers. Yeah. Her giving that call to action to our community saying, tag them. And when I took a screenshot of Next Level Chef's page before it aired, and literally the growth has been tenfold on their page. Yes. And when you go to the comment section of their post, who do you see? I see the familiar names of my community on
I see the Puerto Rican flag all over the comments.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Yeah. Y tú sabes que ella empezó a hacer eso when she came back from the show. We were like, very amazed con todo lo que logró. And ella misma lo dijo, yo no sabía que yo tenía esto. And let me tell you, now I'm in that stage that I'm like learning and looking my page as something powerful. Mm-hmm. Like, it's my hobby, but it's my business. And por eso es que yo digo, ellas se han convertido en mis mentoras. Ellas son mi inspiración. Y claro, como mencionó ahorita, las 3 nos alimentamos cada una. Pero con todo lo que ella ha logrado, ella te lleva arrastrada. Ella te lleva arrastrada y nos ha enseñado, esto lo vamos a hacer así, esto lo vamos a hacer así, sin saber. Porque no sabes, ¿verdad? Bien, muchas veces hablamos y ella, Ibe, what's the next? I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, forget about it. I don't know what's the next, pero let's keep going. Yes. Let's keep going. Y yo siempre digo, hay que ser obediente. Yeah. Y nosotras somos obedientes.
Your original question was around the challenges, right?
Yes.
Because I really want to talk about money. You're the Miss Secure the Bag.
Let's go. Let's talk about that cheddar.
Talk about money.
Because
dinero.
So,
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Ooh, this is really good. You should know about this. So I don't know about you, but I've been known to procrastinate, especially when things scare the hell out of me. The fear alone would have me stuck, overwhelmed, confused, and all types of self-doubt. And don't even get me started on the imposter syndrome. Okay. After getting laid off, not once, but 3 times, honey, I realized that the security blanket that I made up in my head was just an excuse because I didn't really want to bet on myself. The corporate benefits that had me in that headlock, girl, they went out the window once my job decided that they no longer needed me.
Turns out that I'll save a whole nickel if I cut your salary completely.
The truth is, the only security blanket guarantee is the one that you create for yourself. In other words, until you start a business, you will always be at the mercy of a company's headcount, and you will never have complete control over your time, which means you'll be renting out your thought leadership and helping build someone else's dream instead of your own. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Don't you think it's time you stop playing small and tap all the way into your power, sis? Check out www.victoriajen.com/training to learn my 3-step process, the exact 3 steps that I took to make the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. And this is helpful even if you don't know what type of business to start and have only one source of income. And this is absolutely free. It is my gift to you. I want you to win. It's winning season. In fact, what's that? It smells like winning season. Okay, so tap in and I'll see you inside the training. Let's go.
Here's the thing with money is that because as a people, we are, let's just call it what it is. The colonizers in this country have had a 400-year head start on building generational wealth and having businesses and all that. So we're playing catch up, right? We're also living in a world this is media. Social media is a form of media now, like now ad agencies and companies they've increased their social media brand, their buys by 50%, like that's huge. Less TV ads, less radio, whatever. So this is a form of media. There's money behind all this. And we live between these 2 worlds of they don't know what to do with us. When I've had agencies reach out to me about Omi, about Ivelisa, and after we have that initial call, we're like, they don't know what to do with this. They have no experience on working with Spanglish speaking, between 2 worlds. They don't know what to do with us. Then you have the dynamic of when we want to go, like we get invited all the time to do different things that they see us do on social media, but then groups don't want to pay us.
No quieren pagarnos.
And when I say pay, I'm not saying, I'm talking about just the bare minimum of pay for our flight and our hotel stay and give us a little speaker stipend. Like we're down and not little, like commensurate to our rates.
Right.
And como que they almost get offended. People in our community, te por convite en Miss Hollywood y ahora you want money. And it's like, I'm married. This is my business.
Our time.
Our husbands love that we go on these girls trips and we compartimos. But you know what? We're being pulled away from our families to do this work. We got to get paid as if it is work. And so we're having to change the mentality of, our community around money, as well as trying to convince the mainstream that there is value in our community, that there is buying power in our community. So we are in this like purgatory almost of in the middle. And right now, our efforts in setting that table that Omi was talking about is creating something that's never been done before, and having a space for those Spanglish speakers and people that live between those 2 worlds. And on top of that, having the money to build that generational wealth. And so that's like been the biggest challenge for us because we want to do so much. We want to show up for our community strong, but at the same time, it has to make sense for us financially and with our time because our time is money,
Last year when I went away to do the show, I went on the month of Hispanic Heritage Month. I left so much on the table to take a chance to go to London, and God knows how long I was going to make it. Of course, I was just taking it 1 meal at a time, 1 cook at a time, but that was a chance I took. And sometimes it takes that leap of faith to just say, allow yourself to just say yes and do it. But most importantly, I have a whole family that depends on me. And I have to be very smart about my choices. I can't just go with the next, fulanito de la esquina to manage my business. I can't do that. I just won't.
Yeah.
So how do you handle this mindset within our community around money? And how are you balancing all of that? Like, give us an example of a conversation you have with an agency that's trying to play you.
Pero eso nos pasa cada rato.
That's trying to like...
No, y a mí misma también me pasa cada rato. We want you in this event, and Rebecca is the one that both they help me, but I consult that with Rebecca. Rebecca, mira, they want me to do this. They don't want to pay because they think that we are just doing videíto. Ella lo que hace son videitos. So that's why we are in our, our brand, our social media. We have to teach them that this is a job. This is your job. This is your money. And that you have to pay me because this is my time. And it's not like I'm like, hey, rise and shine, everybody. No. I'm entertaining you. And I'm educating you by my by everything that I'm doing it right now. Mm-hmm. A lot of influencers out there, they don't know. They don't know how to monetize.
Yeah.
And they don't take this as serious as we are taking it. Yo me lo he aprendido. Porque yo también era una de esas influencers. Con ellas yo lo he aprendido en el camino que yo digo, wait a second. Yo puedo estar ahora con mi familia en los parques o puedo hacer una diligencia o lo que sea y yo elijo que este tiempo sea para yo grabar, para yo ofrecerle algo al público, para entretenernos, para hacerles compañía. Y lo que estamos haciendo ahora mismo es enseñándole a ellos, esta es una forma de nosotros ganarnos la vida.
Right.
And you have to pay me.
When you enter this world of social media and calling yourself an influencer, let's say one video goes viral for you and you got that one video that did really, really well and it got you millions of followers. You now have to keep up with that trend of what made that video go viral. Okay, that's one step. Second step, you have a brand who wants to approach you and work with you. You now have to provide this brand with this content, whatever that may be, and they're going to put a price tag on you. And some people believe that whatever lowest number is given to them by this company, by this brand, is an okay number, and they accept it. Therefore, it gives brands and agencies the green light to say, oh, well, then that's how much we should pay everyone
It's like
else.
a comp. You know, when you sell a house on the block and you say, what are the comps? That's what brands do. Well, we got this other Hispanic food influencer to do it at this rate. So we're going to set the rate. That's why, I've had conversations with, and I love this, that some, Puerto Rican food content creators feel comfortable enough to reach out to me personally and say, listen, I'm getting a call from this person, this brand. They're offering me this. And I vividly remember with one in particular, I had a conversation. He had a platform that was 3 times my size. And he was getting paid literally like not even a tenth of what I was getting paid on my brand deals. And when I told him how much certain brands were paying me, mouth dropped on the floor. Yeah. And I'm like, Papito, you got to set your rate and you have to advocate for it.
Can we talk about that number? Because I like to talk about numbers. Yeah. Because it's really easy to, say, oh, there was a difference in price or you should go for the most. But if you don't know what the most is and you don't know what that ceiling is, it's difficult for you to make that ask. So on average, what do you believe influencers should be getting paid?
Well, it's scaffolded because it all depends on some important indicators. Yes. What is your engagement rate? Mm-hmm. Because there are some people out there that have a huge page, but when you go into the comments, 10 comments.
10 comments,
and you don't even see the creator engaging with their community in the comments. So there's the engagement rate. There's also, people think that it's about having the numbers about the following, and it's not. It's the engagement rate.
Yeah.
You're more valuable. You're more valuable with engagement than you are with numbers.
Yeah.
You're more valuable with the audience that, literally will save your content, comment in your content, and will share that content as well.
Yeah.
You're more valuable to the brands that way than you are with having a million followers. Yeah. You don't have to. She's raising
que yo tengo que ir al baño.
I told you to use the bathroom before we started.
I know,
Okay.
pero me puse a beber.
Let's pause here.
Ay, Dios mío.
For the editor.
Pausarlo, pues no puedo. Y cuando estaba aquí senté.
All right, let's pause. Dale.
She probably has to cagar. That's probably what she couldn't hold it. When she pointed to that coffee, I knew exactly what she.
Oh my God.
I see me going like this. I'm like, I don't want to get that.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Ooh, this is really good. You should know about this. So I don't know about you, but I've been known to procrastinate, especially when things scare the hell out of me. The fear alone would have me stuck, overwhelmed, confused, and all types of self-doubt. And don't even get me started on the imposter syndrome. Okay. After getting laid off, not once, but 3 times, honey, I realized that the security blanket that I made up in my head was just an excuse because I didn't really want to bet on myself. The corporate benefits that had me in that headlock, girl, they went out the window once my job decided that they no longer needed me.
Turns out that I'll save a whole nickel if I cut your salary completely.
The truth is, the only security blanket guarantee is the one that you create for yourself. In other words, until you start a business, you will always be at the mercy of a company's headcount, and you will never have complete control over your time, which means you'll be renting out your thought leadership and helping build someone else's dream instead of your own. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Don't you think it's time you stop playing small and tap all the way into your power, sis? Check out www.victoriajen.com/training to learn my 3-step process, the exact 3 steps that I took to make the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. And this is helpful even if you don't know what type of business to start and have only one source of income. And this is absolutely free. It is my gift to you. I want you to win. It's winning season. In fact, what's that? It smells like winning season. Okay, so tap in and I'll see you inside the training. Let's go.
We were talking about the money behind brand deals, and I really wanted to get into the numbers because numbers are important. And Rebecca, Omi, you were telling a story about how folks need to understand that engagement is priority.
Yes.
And that is more important and significant than your actual follower count. And Rebecca, I know you wanted to build on that. So let's break it all the way down for the people because we like to give tangible takeaways, things that you can execute on right away to secure the big bag. So vamos.
So here's the deal. When I first started getting interest from brands, I reached out to Omi and she gave me the best resource when I first started. Now, I stopped this membership after, I started getting more comfortable with advocating for myself on these brand deals. But socialbluebook.com, you go to that website, you set up an account, it will literally, it'll connect your various platforms and it'll give you the value of not just a post or a reel, but how much would it cost a brand to post on your stories? Like what should be the rates that you should be charging? And they take that and they give you the engagement rate. They say on Instagram, you have a tal y tal % engagement rate. On YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And you even see brands don't pay as much for TikTok as they do YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. It differentiates even per platform. So I would encourage people to look at that. But my first brand deal was $2,500 and I was for one video and it was, I believe it was Hidden Valley Ranch and it was just one video, $2,500. And that was my first. Now I'm at a level now that anywhere, depending on what the brand is, I get paid anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000 a post.
Yeah.
So I'm just being transparent because I know when I'm watching or listening to a podcast, I want specifics. And so what I tell people always is to set your comp. If Target is out here paying me X amount of money, that sets my comp. That's my rate. If they're seeing the value in me, then I turn around and I say, okay, mira, that's how much I pay for. And everything's negotiable. I was literally having last night when we were getting together with other content creators, this conversation with one of them. And he was like, oh my God, that much? And I'm like, yes, you put, pero me da miedo pedir. And I'm like, just ask for the rate. The worst they can do is tell you, no, that's not how much we have. Okay, well then how much do you have to work with in your budget? I hate how people just give up on the first try. Continue. This is the norm. I've observed people of privilege do this ping pong with companies, and it's okay. We get uncomfortable with it because our culture teaches us to be humble, to to not value money as much as we do other things but you know what? Del amor no se vive solamente.
Es que también les da miedo porque piensan que al decir el número se van. ¿Sabes qué? Se va uno, pero vienen tres.
Yeah.
Porque entonces si le dices un precio bajito, porque me ha pasado, ya lo saben que me ha pasado, después no te cogen en serio y no te quieren pagar más. Y el bag no lo vas a tener lleno.
Yeah.
No lo vas a tener lleno, no vas a poder. O sea, esto es un proceso de enseñarles a las marcas quién tú eres y cuánto estás dispuesto a aceptar.
Yeah.
I believe there's also value in not allowing yourself to work with just everyone.
Oh, that's another
It
thing.
is very important
Yes.
to know when to say no.
Great point.
And know when to just make yourself exclusive.
You know why I'm laughing?
Yeah.
Make yourself exclusive.
No es que
How do you
tienes
set
que
that
coger
measure,
todo.
though?
You set that measure with what you really are passionate about, what defines your brand, who you are, and what you stand for.
Yeah.
Period. Whenever I get approached by a brand or a company or speaking, whatever the engagement is, I literally will ask myself, is this something I'm going to learn from? Is this something that I am passionate about? And is this something that I stand behind for?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't, then I won't do it.
Another thing, sorry, Becky. Another thing, I do my assignment and I look the page and I look, no the numbers, porque me han contactado cuentas y brands que tienen bien poquitos seguidores.
Mm-hmm.
Pero yo veo esto, no veo el engagement, no veo nada de eso. Yo veo también lo que dice Omi, los values. Me contactó en las Navidades una compañía de alcohol, que las muchachas saben. Yo no bebo alcohol y yo no promuevo el alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Entonces, eso no está aligned conmigo.
Yeah.
Otras compañías de otras... Ay, Dios mío.
I know. That's why I was laughing earlier, because you guys too, the two of you got the same offer.
The offer... Ay, Dios mío, pero se puede decir.
Yeah.
Sí, claro. Es banking and cultura. Let's go.
Let's say a female
We gotta
pleasure
teach the
company.
people
Eso
how to learn.
mismo.
A female pleasure
Una
company.
compañía de toys.
Listen.
Y yo digo, pero
And
¿cómo
there's
yo
nothing
voy
wrong
a
with that.
No,
Nothing
it's
wrong
not.
with that.
No, it's
It doesn't
fine.
But does it line up
I
with your
don't see
brand?
myself and the money, nena, the amount and
Can
everything.
you imagine one of us showing up with a dildo on our page? And Mira!
Or a little rose. Because you
of
want
this.
to have, you want to enjoy the pleasures of life with your food and your rose. Like, really? Like, come on.
And let me tell you, no, don't get me wrong. Okay, está bien, pero yo no lo voy a hacer.
Right.
Otra cosa, el público también.
Oh my God, yeah.
El público que tú vayas a atraer, que se va a sentir atraído por esa colaboración que tú vas a hacer.
Right.
A veces yo digo, you know what? I pass.
Ay, Ibe, that is such a good point.
I pass. And you know that happens to me all the time.
Who
I
do
pass,
you
know
attract with what you're putting out there?
that? Yes. And you guys know that everything that I spoke on and I talk on my page and everything, es en base a mi experiencia.
Yeah.
Y lo he vivido. Todo esto que yo estoy diciendo, no me lo inventé, no lo leí, no me lo contaron. Todo esto yo lo he vivido, pero es por mi forma de ser. Porque
Right.
acuérdate que yo soy así bien, tú sabes, soy bien friendly, bien bubbly. Y they get confused on that. They say, no.
And you
Está
also
loquita,
have
tiene
to
los
have-
pies bien puestos.
You also have to have discernment. Like, you can read between the lines. I've had brands contact me and I could tell they're not looking at my page. They know that I'm not. They're just casting a wide net and seeing what catches and seeing what desperate influencer is going to take a bite.
Desperate.
And I'll never forget one time I got like a brand deal opportunity for a breast pump company. And I'm like, I am 46 years old. I'm way past the childbearing years. It's a compliment that y'all think that I'm still bearing children, but I'm not. So it's almost like insulting sometimes where I'm like, you're just casting a net and seeing what catches.
Y ellos
And
no
you have to
hacen-
treat yourself with respect.
Ellos no hacen la asignación.
Nope. They don't do their research.
assignment.
Yeah.
Exact, the research. When they reach out to you, sometimes I feel like, I no lo cojo personal, pero a veces digo, pero why they are reaching out to me? No.
We just had a situation where a brand was working with Rebecca. And so anytime you work with any brand, you will provide your content and then they will have feedback. And then there's multiple rounds of feedback that might happen for you to change the content. That part of the job is very tedious because they literally break it down to the seconds of the video. So between 4 and 5 seconds, can you edit that? Can you remove that clip? Between 27 seconds and 29 seconds, can you blur the brand name of such and such? These things become very tedious. Sometimes, depending on the brand and how much they're paying you, you have to come to an agreement of saying whether or not this is actually worth that time and money and effort. Because again, they didn't do their research in knowing how you show your content, how you operate.
Yes.
Clearly, if I say, hola mi gente, ven pa acá que te voy a enseñar. If you can't hear me saying that on my videos, then you didn't do your research as a brand. Because that is who I am. That's how I've started my videos since 2020. So why would I change now because you want me to do a video for you? Again, there's certain things that certain people, certain brands, I just won't work with.
Yeah.
Because it's just not.
Y se fastidiaron because we talk to each other and we're like, oye, that brand horrible to work with. Mira, pero este otro, great. They pay on time.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And here's another thing about how you people who want to be out there and be an influencer, let me just tell you something. You don't get paid immediately.
No.
You get paid net 45, net 60, net 90, and you have to advocate for yourself and say, you know what? Before the contract is signed, how am I going to get paid? Can I have a signing bonus?
Before the contract is signed, let's get 25% of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Y hay muchas cosas que los influencers allá no saben, que tú puedes ir manejando, y nosotras hemos aprendido, a mí nos ha enseñado mucho también, eso que ella dijo. When you are doing a collaboration, request a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
1% antes. Porque, y también déjale saber 2 rounds
of feedback.
Tú sometes el video y porque entonces, porque sometes el video y después cuando viene a ver, tienes que cambiar esto, tienes que cambiar lo otro. Y tú estás de viaje.
Yes.
Y tú, pero ¿cómo yo voy a coger el producto?
We just had this last week. I was sitting up they were in my country club. We were sitting up by the pool and I got a second round of edits and I literally was on the phone with them and I said, you know what? I've already made the edits. We've done 2 rounds of this. I've taken it to where I'm on my way to New York. I'm not going to be back until Tuesday. And we've already made the edits. So I'm happy to walk away from this. This doesn't seem like it's a right fit. And I just rather cut my losses now and just be honest that I'm not going to provide you more than what you've already asked for. That's beyond the scope of work of the project, period. Porque la gente se abusa, you know?
Yeah. Esa es una forma de darte a respetar.
Yeah.
Or even not setting certain things in place. When a brand doesn't set certain things in place, such as, okay, I've given you the rounds of edits that you've asked for. You have not gotten back to me whether or not this content is good. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, on a Tuesday, you say, okay, the brand said, yes, go ahead and post. Well, guess what? The conversation on my platforms right now is not about this. The conversation I had a brand who wanted, while I was on my tour of these watch parties and meet and greets, they had not gotten back to me in weeks. And when they finally got back to me, I'm like, I can't post this today because the show airs tonight and the conversation on my platform is not going to be about this.
Yeah.
I will post this on Sunday. If you trust me with my platform and that I know my audience, because that's another thing. How well do you know your audience?
Yes.
I know my audience well enough that if I were to I'd put that video on that day, they're going to be like, hello, what about the show? What happened?
Exactly.
We're doing the meet and greet and the watch party and blah, 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 blah. So that in itself, you are the expert of your platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's one thing that, and I know we're talking about all the challenges, but I have had brand deals. Like I'm an ambassador for Target. They give me complete creative autonomy. Hardly ever, I don't think I've ever made any edits. They love the way I produce my content. And then on top of that, the timing of the post, I tell them like, hey, listen, on this day, blah, blah. whatever you feel is best. I love working with brands like that.
Yes.
It's like, if you truly love my page and you love what I'm about, you're going to let me have creative control of my content.
Yeah.
Right. You got to trust me.
Yeah.
A couple of key things came up that I want to drive home. So terms and conditions, having your own terms and conditions and providing the direction. Don't always wait for a brand, a potential client to tell you what they want, right? You're the asset, right? You're the value add.
They need me.
Right.
They need me more than I need them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you set the terms, when you get paid, how you get paid, how many edits you're going to do, what your intellectual property can be used for, right?
Exclusivity.
Exclusivity, all those things. One of the tips that I use and that I like to offer a lot of the women that I work with is when we're talking about payment, I always say, ask them for 50% upfront and 50% after the project, after the delivery, after the execution. And if they allow that to proceed, add an additional incentive and say, if you don't want to do the half and half, I'll give you 10% off the whole price if you pay me in full.
Ooh, good.
That way.
I like that.
Right? It's an incentive. And so they feel like, their first initiation was like net 30, right? That was their first start, right?
Yeah.
Net 90, whatever it is. But now that I've given them this incentive, you know, everybody's crazy about budgets right now and they want to save money. So here you go. Here's a little carrot. You want some of this?
That's
here
a
you go.
great
And
tip.
usually, I would say 8 times out of 10, they're paying in full upfront.
I'm going to use that tip, Victoria.
Yeah.
Use the
That's a good
tip.
one.
Listen.
Absolutely.
Use the
Nothing
tip.
beats a fail like a try.
Okay. Use
Pero
the
yeah,
tip.
you see?
Use the tip because these brands or organizations, right, they do have financial policies in place and they do like to, you know, they have their own terms and conditions as well. It's usually being pressed by the financial department that's setting those standards. But remember, they need you more than you need them. They're coming to you. So you set those terms. This is how I get paid. This is the formula. This is the process. You need to work on my framework, not the other way around, right? And that's a mindset shift. It's the same thing around mindset money scarcity, that mindset money scarcity of not asking for your money in advance or not asking for too much. It's the same thing of playing their game instead of understanding that you are your own entity. Just like they have their procedures and processes, so do you.
That's right. That's right.
No, y no sentirte intimidado. No sentirte intimidado. Y es algo que en el camino lo vas a aprender.
Yeah.
Y ya cuando te tienes respeto a ti mismo, sabes cuánto tú vales, se lo dejas saber desde el principio. Y como estábamos hablando, si ellos te van a, las marcas te van a reconocer y te van a querer por lo que tú ofreces y lo que tú eres. Tampoco te van a querer por lo que tú eres y lo que tú ofreces.
Right.
Entonces tú eres el que sabe cómo vas a llevar la página, cómo vas a llevar el contenido. Cuando ellos me dicen, mira, vamos a hacerlo de esta forma, y tú me ves a mí como que yo quiero que postees esto el viernes a las 5 de la tarde. El viernes a las 5 de la tarde a mí no me va a funcionar. Ya yo conozco mi audiencia también, como dijo Omi. So, confía en mí. Esto yo lo puedo poner el domingo, bien temprano. Esto es una receta de desayuno. El domingo a las 9 esto se va, créeme que va a ser súper bien. Y darte a respetar, poner tus valores primero.
Right.
And límites.
Yeah. And one thing that's important is that when you are establishing your terms and conditions and you're growing in your business, sometimes you come to a point where you realize you have to hire help. Period.
Yes.
Because you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And when I started getting these thick contracts and I was like, I don't know, I might be negotiating against my own self-interest here. I hired, for some projects, I hire an attorney. For some projects, I hire, I bring in an agent, to do that. We have a social media manager because legit, the DMs, people get we love interacting with our followers, and up until a certain point, when you get a certain amount of followers engagement, it becomes overwhelming, and so we still, of
You
course,
can never shut it off.
we never shut it off. And we're still obviously commenting on our posts and our reels and all that good stuff. But when it comes to the DMs, where sometimes brands reach out to you in the DMs, so you have to be pendiente on your requests and your general side of your inbox to make sure that you're I remember I was in the Dominican Republic chilling, and I finally caught up to my DMs. And some big brand reached out to me. I think it was Tory Burch or something like that. What was it?
Kate
Kate Spade, thank you. I
Kate
love how they
Spade.
remember my son more than I do.
Get cute.
And I'm like, so I immediately reached out from the DR to the casting person, and they were like, "Ay, nena, we sent that to you a week ago, and we already casted the influencers we're going to work with." And I'm like, because some of this stuff moves quick. So what did we do? We hired a social media manager that she helps flag those kinds of opportunities for us. But like, again, if you're reviewing contracts, this is new for you, don't be afraid to hire specifically an entertainment attorney, because there are a lot of attorneys out here that are like, hustling. And you got to get someone that knows this realm.
And it's really important too, that from the social media aspect, hiring that social media manager was really important for helping us to keep track of what our performance is within our pages. Because I go through periods where life is lifing.
Yeah.
And I may not post. So what do I need to do? What should be my next post? What should I be, worried about for the next week? And that's okay. Like, just because social media is our job doesn't mean that it's our life.
Yes.
And we need help. We do need the help.
And I'll never forget, another value of having a social media manager is like, when we were in Chicago, that's when the forest fires in Canada were happening and making the skies in New York, untenable and orange. I'm sorry you went through that, Victoria. Were you still in Costa Rica when that was happening?
No, I had just came back and I was like, this is great.
Our social media manager said, Oye, everybody is on all 3 of your pages in the DMs asking, are you all still going to New York? And so we had to, we were so busy engaging with our commitments in Chicago that we missed that, but she caught it and it allowed us to be responsive to our community. That helps your engagement rate for people to feel seen and heard in the comments and in the DMs. So that's just, a little tip there.
I love that. So, okay. So a couple of things. What I love that you all spoke to was, don't be thirsty. Mija, drink some water. Don't be thirsty, because it might work against you than for you. And even though you're struggling to make a check, understand that if you go in and you put in a rate that's lower than what's at the market, or that's lower than what these companies are used to seeing, of course, their business, they're going to go with the lower offer because they want to save money, just like you would in your business. But what you do is you bring the overall market value down. And then for this amazing mission that all of you are on, creating this space and the table, right, for us to have the power to negotiate at that level, you are doing more harm than good. Right? So reach out to somebody, get the coaching that you need so you can go and ask for what you are truly worth, right? And what your value is out here, right? So I love that. The other thing I love that we said was, I think this engagement piece, I want to take a deeper dive into this because I think it's so important. Because I know so many people who struggle with the engagement piece because they're usually posting things because they want to go viral. And this is back to being thirsty, right? They're like, I want to go viral. Or they see a trend and they're like, all right, let me hop on this trend. Let me do this because this seems to be working, even though it may not really align with their individual values or brands or what their audience is used to, but they want to get seen. They want to get seen. So can you offer some insight into how do you increase your engagement? What does that really look like? And how do you break away from the natural urge to hop on a trend because you're just trying to get views because you believe that that's how you're going to drive engagement?
Yo siempre digo que... Oh, ¿tú quieres?
No, go for it.
When my followers, they see me, they said, oh my God, I feel that you are my friend. It's because I'm connecting with them. They feel heard and they feel that they know me. That's what I'm knowing, that I'm doing something good. Y yo más seguro que yo les estoy ofreciendo a ellos lo que ellos están esperando. Yo no soy, las muchachas saben, yo no soy de trend, de los sound trends. Sí, los uso, está bien. Pero I don't get overwhelmed on that porque es lo que no va conmigo. Entonces, ¿cómo me mantengo? Lo que trato de hacer es estar consistent. Todo el tiempo estar consistent. Y tú conoces tu público. Muchos se dejan llevar por el número. Tiene más de 1 millón de seguidores en todas las plataformas. Oh my God, look at that. Okay, how are you going to manage them?
Right.
What are you going to do with them? Are you connect with them? ¿Tú dejas que las personas se queden ahí viendo tus videos? Yo sé que la comedia a mí me hace bien, porque ya yo de por sí, eso es parte de mí. La inspiración también por mi pasado, por mi situación de alcoholismo, que todos saben que yo lo superé, muchos conectan conmigo por eso, más la comida que es simple, comida simple, fácil. Y ya yo sé que ellos esperan eso, ya yo más o menos sé. Y el día que yo no quiero postear, I don't post anything. And because the engagement that I have with them is very good, they still waiting on me. Y no siento este deseo. Al principio, cuando empecé a hacer las redes sociales, era todo el tiempo ahí, thirsty, like, no more. No more, because like Omi mentioned before, I have life and I need to take a break of my mental también, my mental situation. Y cuando no quiero, dejo el teléfono y sigo. Y entonces me voy con los stories. Hey, estoy aquí, estoy lo otro. Para que ellos sepan que they have me over there. And that's it.
People relate to videos and things that they feel like it's their lives. When I first started, I didn't know what the secret sauce was. I had no idea what the secret sauce was. I had no idea why I kept growing in numbers. I had no idea. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What I was doing, and I kept hearing it, was I was connecting to a part of someone's life that reminded them of someone they might have loved and lost. Or I was connecting them to their culture. I was connecting them, to, maybe they don't know a lot about the kitchen, but en tu cocina tú mandas, so tú haces lo que te diga tu corazón. It's okay. You don't have to have brand new pots and pans to create a platform and start cooking on, social media. My calderos are still the same calderos I had back then. I don't care. And my videos are not overproduced. I still do it with my phone. I do it. I figured out that what was connecting with my audience was the fact that they could see themselves in me. They could see themselves in the kitchen, cocinando, cantando, bailando, gozándose en la cocina. Yesterday, when we got on our Jeep, we were on the convertible Jeep.
Yesterday was the Puerto Rican Day Parade, by the way, y'all. That's what we're talking about.
We weren't supposed to bring it up. But,
no. It's okay. That was a monumental moment. And shout out to you ladies for inviting me to be a part of that, because it was absolutely amazing. And I really appreciate you guys. Okay, back to you.
We connected with the driver of the Jeep.
Oh my God.
And first of all, she started crying when she hugged us and saw us, because she said, I lost my husband right before COVID. And I thought my world was ending. And you three brought me back to life. You brought me back to life with your videos. He used to be the one who used to cook. Now I cook. And I remember him through the foods that you've taught me to make. This is the impact that we've had in our community that we didn't even count on. I never counted on a dad saying to me, thank you so much for teaching me how to cook for my boys, the same food that my wife used to cook for us before she passed from cancer. I never counted on that. I met mothers and daughters who said, we have a better relationship because we have you in common. We both watch you. Things that I never banked on. To be truthfully honest, I never even said I was going to do Cooking con Omi full time until until August 2021. When my grandmother passed away, that is when I actually said, you know what? I am stepping away fully and completely from makeup, and I'm no longer going to do this. I'm going to focus on Cooking con Omi. And I wasn't even banking in any way, shape, or form, but it was what was making me happy. It was what was giving me purpose. And it was what was lifting my community. Yeah. And it was also the thing that brought me closer to my grandmother. So for me, it was important to follow that and to really walk through that. And I think that in that authenticity and walking in that liberation was what really created that space for growth and created that opportunity for more to happen. Sometimes it takes that leap of faith of just do it. Yeah. Literally, just do it.
Yeah.
And engagement is really about connecting with people. And I feel like in the same way that companies try to find a niche and do something that no one else is doing or talking about, I have experienced success in engaging with my community because I talk about things that are seen as taboo in our community, like having dealing with the challenges of a loved one with dementia and like making those tough decisions around when do we call it, that where we're taking care of with them in our homes. And, we're not like the Blanquitos that put their parents in nursing homes. That's not part of the culture or, whatever. And so I think that, people so connected with me on initially about my mom because she was showing up in a lot of my videos as, the funny comedy stuff as well as the cooking. And they saw the progression of the digression of my mom's condition and how I had to deal with that. And I was real about it. And when you research who are the Hispanic content creators that are sharing their journeys about dealing with a loved one with dementia, which is ravaging our community, there's only one other Latina that I know that is sharing her journey. And so it's like filling a void in a conversation that we're not having in our community. Of course, you have to do things con cuidado because you want to respect the dignity of your loved ones and knowing that you're sharing your loved one with other members of your family who are not living a public life. And so that I really think engagement is also about talking about things that need to be talked about, but that because of the culture or whatever, is not spoken of, because it might be an embarrassing subject or one that may position you in a certain kind of light. But little do you know that there are people that are really hungry for that information and those resources.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is be a friend, act like yourself, because people will relate to that. And also take a break. Yeah. If you need to take a break, take a break. Omi, you mentioned tapping into what people can relate to, something that's happening in their lives, something that they can have in common, and speaking to that point to bring people together. And Rebecca, finding something that nobody's talking about, right? That's really important and significant and critical in the community. So I want to get into the Talk That Talk segment because this is a spicy topic that I want to break down. So Talk That Talk, first of all, is when we break down taboos in the cultura, right? So one of the things, and Banking on Cultura is all about speaking Spanglish. We support Spanglish. we love Spanglish. We bring this to the forefront. Pero in our community, we do create this disconnect for people who don't speak the language fluently. And it kind of makes them feel left out and disconnected from the community, from the cultura. So what are your thoughts on folks who don't speak the language fluently? And how can we release that stigma that exists?
But I'm the perfect example.
Okay.
My English is not the very good looking one. So I have two options. To stay in my house and continue speaking Spanish, or, go ahead, go for it, y tratar y seguir hablando. Y cuando no me sale el inglés, pues no lo hablo. ¿Entiendes? Pero también a la comunidad yo les enseño que it's okay. No te tienes que sentir menos por no hablar el lenguaje fluent y sentirte cómodo en tu own skin, como dicen. Me ha pasado mucho que también me han tratado como decía Omi, como underdog.
Yeah, underdog.
Me ha pasado mucho. Y me han dicho, pero ¿por qué no hablas inglés en las redes? Yo también hablo inglés en las redes, pero ya yo he establecido una comunidad en donde me buscan y conectan conmigo más en español. Y si tengo que hablar inglés, tú me has visto, lo hablo. Pero también hay que enseñarles que nosotros, nuestro background, somos latinas. Y nuestra primera lengua es el español.
Right.
Y el hecho de que tú no lo hables perfecto, it's okay. Porque también están los latinos de acá. Los que son born and raised here.
Right.
Mis hijos no hablan español. Y tú no sabes cómo a mí me tiran por eso. Pero mi esposo es dominicano.
Okay.
Nacido en Dominican Republic y criado acá. Su primer lenguaje para él es el inglés. Entonces, en casa se habla inglés. Ellos hablan inglés. Y yo hablo español porque yo me siento cómoda más con el español.
Right.
And another reason why you're a perfect example, Yvelisa, is the way you've treated me in the trio. because Spanish is not has historically not been my strength. And a lot of first-gen Latinos that live in this country, how many times when we go back to our homeland countries that tú tratas de hablar español, tú eres de allá afuera. And they start making fun of the way that you speak Spanish.
Yes.
And it causes you to be like, well, I'm not going to speak it because I sound like a payasa. I'm not going to do it. But when I've been with the three of us, when we've been together, I will say something incorrectly and she'll correct me in the most loving way.
Yes.
And in the most playful, in a playful way. And respectively, sometimes she says things in English that I'm like, no, you say it like this. But it's not done in a we're not antagonizing each other or questioning each other's Latinidad or Puerto Ricanness. It's all in a spirit like, we're going to improve this. You know what I mean? And we're going to try, And I just think that the way that that's another reason why I think our following is just like, wow, the three of you get along so well, even though like the way you guys speak and communicate is so different, you know?
But Rebecca's also open to that.
Yeah.
But she will sometimes, if she's struggling with a word, she's like, ¿Cómo es que se dice? And then we'll both jump in. Yeah. But she's also open to that. And so is Ibelisa. She's also open to whenever she says, how do you say that?
Ay, Dios mío, ¿cómo es que? Y I don't care donde yo estoy. Puede ser en una tarima, aquí en un podcast, donde sea. Bueno, ya tú lo has visto, el mismo ejemplo aquí mientras estamos hablando.
Yes.
Pues si no me sale, no me sale. Yo no voy a estar forcing el guachi mío.
Yeah.
Tengo que ser... Yo lo que quiero es llevar un mensaje.
Yes.
Yo lo que quiero es conectar. Yo lo que quiero es ser orgánica. Yo lo que quiero es que la gente vea. Yo he llegado hasta aquí siendo yo.
Yes.
No pretendiendo ser otra persona. Y queremos una comunidad unida. Queremos el Spanglish, el inglés, el español. Queremos estar... Esta es la forma de mantenerlo unido. Dijiste una palabra mal. ¿Cómo fue que ¿Tú viste lo que dijo? ¿Cómo fue? Dilo de nuevo. That's not nice.
Right.
Yeah. Eso es bullying. I don't want to make it. Entonces, para alimentar mi ego, ¿tú te acuerdas cuando Rebeca dijo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Y tampoco yo quiero eso para mí. Yeah. Y yo no quiero enseñarle eso ni al público ni a mis hijos.
Yes. And I think that's a great way to wrap up today's episode, because one of the beautiful things of having you all on today's show is the representation for collaboration and us being stronger together than not. And it's the same thing with our language. Like, we are stronger together if we speak Spanglish, if we speak the language fluently, it doesn't matter, but we have to be more accepting of our differences. That's and it's part of the complexity of our cultura and the reason why these brands don't know what to do with us, because we don't know what to do with us. So we have to set, the tone, and we have to set the standard for how we want to be represented, but most importantly, how we treat each other.
That's right.
So ladies, thank you so much for being on Banking on Cultura. It's such an honor and a pleasure. Let the people know where they can find you guys and what they should be looking out for. Tell us.
Well, on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, I'm at Rebecca Huffman.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube y ya. Y Tiki-Toki. Y Belisa riendo y comiendo. Y si tú quieres cambiar el mundo, tienes que empezar por ti.
You could find me at Cooking con Omi on all social media platforms. I am currently working on, actually today, I'm headed to Kitchen Nightmares with Chef Ramsay to go film an episode in Yonkers. So that's what you could be looking out for in September.
I love it. Let's go, ladies. Okay, thank you so much again.
Thank you for being here.
Abrazos.
Besito de coco.
See you on the next episode, guys. Thanks for being here.